Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so let's talk about Cade Cunningham because I just watched a couple highlights, about 15 minutes worth of Cade Cunningham video, and I got familiar with his game a bit more. The thing that I really like about Cade Cunningham is the fact that his game is not predicated on athleticism. From what I saw, he doesn't provide a bunch of athleticism. He's a guy who's going to do layups and he'll do a reverse dunk here or there, stuff like that. But his strength is more so in the fundamentals of his step backs and footwork, his passing ability, vision, length, and size. Um, and he's really just fantastic ambidextrously, if that's a word. Both hands he can finish with. Um, really like his game, and I think the person that he reminds me of just off top is Paul Pierce. Not saying that they play the same game because Paul was actually a small forward, two more or less, and Cade is definitely a positionless one more or less. But what I saw in comparison is are players who use step backs and mid range and layup packages and things of that nature without athleticism rather, but have big bodies to do so. Cade's more of a ball handler than Paul Pierce, I believe. Paul was probably more of a defender. I think I'm not certain. I'm not certain, but what I do know is that Cade Cunningham provides a massive body, like a Ben Simmons, like a Josh Giddey, um, guys like that, LeBron James, who can play the point guard position but be huge, can see over the defense. Um, and the thing about Cade is, like I said, his 3-point shot is so incredible. Um, when he steps into it, his feet are set. He's lighting it up. It's ridiculous. You're going to have to pay attention to him from behind the arc. And one thing that I also notice about him is he takes on a lot of punishment. He gives punishment too. He can definitely dish it out. As he gets stronger, you're going to see him give that punishment more so. But he takes a lot of contact. So as his career progresses, once he starts making all-star teams, I'd imagine he's going to start getting to the line a whole lot because he does initiate tons of contact when he drives at the rim. But all in all, what I saw was a guy who can probably play the game for 20 years, who's probably going to be able to last in this league even as he slows down. A guy who's going to be able to last in this league as the game changes, because nothing that he seems to do, like a Luka Doncic, has anything to do with jumping and leaping out the gym. Uh, Now, some may say that's a deficiency, but I don't think so. Now, the thing about it is, just like anything else, you need to surround him with stuff that he doesn't have, and I think the Detroit Pistons have done a very good job of that thus far. But just looking at what he does, for me, when I look at players who can jump out the gym, my concern is when that athleticism goes, will it go with him? Because like you look at a guy like Westbrook is the biggest and the brightest example of that. Unfortunately, it's to where his athleticism's gone and his fundamentals aren't there, so he's not even an NBA player more or less right now. He's going to have to work on fundamentals that he was never really great at in order to find his way back in the NBA, which is why I honestly wonder if he has a spot in the league. Guy like Cade, different situation, obviously. But as he ages, if injuries don't wear him down, he's still going to be able to be a facilitator and a guy who can stretch the floor and a guy who can provide length even as he ages, even as time progresses, he gets older and older, what have you. Guys like Chris Paul, you can see them still sticking around. You see guys like KD continue to dominate. Guys like Kyrie Irving, obviously we mentioned a lot, whose game isn't necessarily predicated on being able to leap. You know what I mean? That they can do things low to the ground. I remember a guy I like to mention a lot by the name of Andre Miller, who literally didn't miss a single game and played the point guard position at a high level while being near the top of the league in assists every year. And I think he was an excellent free throw shooter too, but don't quote me on that. At the end of the day, he had a lengthy career and was one of the best facilitators in the game, one of the best point guards in his prime. Um, it barely jumped, and barely missed a game. And the reason why that was because his fundamentals were so incredibly sound, and he knew his body, never tried stuff that he didn't have any business trying, and ultimately it just kept him durable and it kept him on the floor forever. Um, So I look at Cade Cunningham, obviously he's a superior talent to that, certainly a better 3-point shooter, all of that, bigger guy, just different level, but the same type of deal to where, he is going to be able to last. I think that's what I like about Cade Cunningham. So yeah, looking at the Detroit Pistons, I think they got an A1 superstar in the making. I do think he can be the best player on the championship team, um, because of the clutch ability and the motor. No pun intended. We call him motorcade. But it's one of them situations where I think you add the pieces that they have. I look at the Pistons now, and I'm super intrigued, which is why I'm watching Cade Cunningham highlights, because I'm big on Jaden Ivey. I think he's going to be a player who can accumulate easy points and easy fast break opportunities out the gate, and as he develops, he's going to be a perennial all-star in my opinion. So that right there, I think, could be potentially two superstars they have in place already, without even mentioning the rest of what they have. And you think about Sadiq Bey. I like how he's been reported to have been working hard in the offseason trying to get his body to the best possible shape. We know he's capable of scoring 30 points before this offseason, so after this offseason, I'd imagine he's going to step his game up and make a jump even from here. And now look at a guy like Killian Hayes, who was a lottery talent from 2 years back, who's had some injury issues. I still think his ceiling is very high. And if you add him as just a role player to this team, you're looking at a dangerous situation. Hamidou Diallo, another guy who I think his ceiling is pretty up there, who hasn't had a chance to show what he can do, still on the floor level of what his production and his potential is. So they got him, I think, on a discount. You look at a guy like Isaiah Stewart, who can block shots all day and shoot threes and be massive and provide toughness. Jalen Duren, of whom I'm also super high on. One of my favorite rookies in this class, a complete and utter grown man, who I think as he grows stronger is going to be impossible to stop. Basically another DeAndre Jordan with passing ability, just ridiculous. And then you talking about another big that they have on the bench. I can't think of my man's name, but he shoots the ball, came out of Gonzaga, played for the Rockets for a little while, played for Miami, of course. My mind is gone blank, but I know exactly what I'm talking about, and I see him in my head. Caucasian dude, shoots the ball, center. He's also on their bench, fantastic floor spacer. They got Garza back there, even behind him, who can also spread the floor and space it. They drafted just last year. The talent level on the Detroit Pistons goes on and on and on and on, and they're all very young, and they're all in a space where there's no expectations for them to win. And so I think they can continue tanking if they choose to, but they have so much natural talent right now that it might not be necessary for them to tank to feel good about their future anymore. I think the Detroit Pistons have that going on. The Houston Rockets have that going on. The Orlando Magic are starting to approach that space. Cleveland is now in that space. Houston, if we haven't said them already. So there are a lot of teams that have that core, but I think the Detroit Pistons might be one of the brightest in the Eastern Conference particularly. They just got so much young talent that they've accumulated over the last 2 years. And then you have to give them credit because, they went so long without having their any draft picks come their way, and they've made some mistakes when they did get some good ones. So to find themselves in this place now where they've accumulated a lot of young talent in such a short amount of time, you got to love where they're headed, man. They're actually one of my favorite teams going forward in the NBA. Now it's going to take, of course, however amount of time for those kids to come together. It usually takes about 4 years for everybody to be their best selves. But this young team is so incredibly talented. And when you talk about, like I said, Jaden Ivey, he's like what Cade doesn't bring is what Jaden provides, which is extreme Ja Morant-like athleticism, easy buckets, and extreme speed. So when you add that to Cade, and you consider that Jaden can also hit shots and spread the floor just fine, make things very easy, and then you got Bey on the corner spreading the floor, there's so much ability for a guy like Ivey to attack because the floor is going to be spread so nicely with everybody on the team who can shoot the three up and down the roster. I think Killian Hayes is the guy that I don't think shoots the ball very well in that lineup, and I don't think he'd be starting, but he is a high-level six-man candidate when that team fully develops if he's still on it. He's going to be a six-man of the year candidate, I think, just simply because of his talent level and because of how deep that team's going to be. So, yeah, keep an eye on the Detroit Pistons. I think they could be a candidate for winning about 35 to 40 games this year, but after this, it's playoffs. It's playoffs every year. And it's going to be very difficult to keep that team out of playoffs, man. I'm telling you, Jalen Duren provides way too much shot blocking. Stewart provides way too much shot blocking. Cade Cunningham provides way too much shot blocking. And you got to understand, when watching Cade, like, this is somebody who took a layup to Anthony Davis. Not a dunk, a layup. He laid the ball up over outstretched Anthony Davis' hands, which tells you exactly how big he is and how much length his arms provide if he can effectively get a layup over AD. And that wasn't the only big he did that way. I think in this highlight, as I said, I saw maybe 1 or 2 dunks. That was it. 2 dunks. Everything else, ambidextrous layups. And so what I'm telling you is, when he puts on strength, he's going to become more athletic from here. He's going to get stronger from here. And as that happens, I think this kid can be an MVP candidate. I truly do. I know a lot of people out there who are going to be super talented, so he's going to always have competition for sure. But I do imagine he's going to be a top 10 player in the league as he continues to develop and as he continues to center everything around him and making him the number one in the Detroit Pistons. As they become a winning team, that's when he's going to start being seen as one of them dudes. And I don't know how good he's going to be. I look at guys like Luka Doncic. I think about Tim Duncan. I think about all these different players that don't necessarily have crazy athleticism, but are clearly some of the best players we've ever seen. I think Cade can actually add himself to that list if he gets off to a good start and stays healthy. The talent, it's there, man. It's really there. So I just want to get up here and say that. Studying Cade Cunningham, and I'm going to continue to study more players on different teams just to get familiar with the overall field. Of course, once these teams start to form, we'll start studying them. Last year, I broke down each and every team from top to bottom throughout the summer. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that this year because the teams aren't done yet. So it seems like as we continue to get closer and closer to the season, you have less and less time to do homework, less and less time to really put that together. And it took a whole month and a half to do that. So I don't know if I'm going to do it this year, you guys, but, it depends on how soon these teams can hurry and get players traded and get complete. So we'll see. But all in all, man, I'm very excited about this field, very excited about the Detroit Pistons, and I think their fans finally have something to be excited about, man. Very, very, very excited about. So that's what I got to say. My name is BDF44. Thank you all for watching.